Hello loves, welcome back to TigeraGitana. My name is Abby and today we're going to be doing I'm going to be breaking down for y'all the lunar eclipse in Gemini that's coming up on November the 30th, okay, 2020. We have quite a bit of things to discuss because it's a lunar eclipse, so there's a lot of stuff going on, especially now that we're like getting closer and closer to Sag season. I wanted to put this video up for you guys so you're ready for that like shift that's about to come once we leave Scorpio season and we go into Sag. So we're gonna get right into it. I also pulled some cards for us for the day, just so we get some additional info and messages from Spirit today. But just starting with the breakdown of where the planets are going to be, Sun will be in Sag for this lunar eclipse. The moon will be in Gemini. Okay. Then we have Mercury in Scorpio. Venus will be in Scorpio. So both Mercury and Venus will be in Scorpio during this time. Mars will be in Aries, and it's already direct as of right now. Jupiter will be in Capricorn. Saturn will be in Capricorn. Uranus will be in Taurus in retrograde. Neptune, however, would have already gone direct a few days before this particular lunar eclipse, about 2 days before, if I'm not mistaken. So it will already be stationed direct. And then Pluto will be in Capricorn. So this is kind of like a really, really big deal, that especially for Neptune just going direct and the energy being present during this particular lunar eclipse, because it is a mutable sign lunar eclipse. It is in Gemini, so there is like an emphasis on mutable energy and a liberation of sorts. But we are going to talk about it because there is a good amount of mutable energy in the chart during this time. The sun will be in Sag as well, but right from the start we do have a sun opposition moon aspect, and this is going to be like a little bit of a misalignment, especially when it comes to the element of fire and air, because the sun will be in Sag, which is a fire sign, and the moon will be in Gemini, which is an air sign. So there is going to be a little friction between the two, and I do feel like ultimately what I'm really getting, especially the message that I was getting for this specific aspect, is that there's going to be some messages that we're receiving during this time. And because it is an eclipse, the energy lasts a little bit longer as far as how we feel it in our lives. There is going to be not only a little bit of a conflict between the messages we're receiving, but how we're taking them in and how they're affecting our growth. If you are directly comfortable connecting to Spirit and just having that direction from them directly, the guidance that you're going to be getting is going to seem a little bit blunt, and it is also going to seem a little bit like, wait, what? It's definitely something that it changes the dynamic a little bit, because you will find some opposition if there is something that you are been trying to do and Spirit is like been giving you like the no for a minute. You're gonna get a really hard no on this day, especially if you're trying to manifest something that's just not in alignment with what you're supposed to be doing. You're gonna hit a wall with this. This is where the opposition is really gonna come in and just be like no, and you're gonna receive that message. It's gonna be a very clear, like, and concise, this is the message, this is what we're not doing today, and just like a very clear cut, like, nope, this is not it. Please reevaluate, please recheck your ego, please recheck with like, who do you think you are and how you think you want to move forward. Please make sure whatever you're choosing is in alignment with you, because if you know that it's not the right thing and you're still trying to force it on yourself, you're just going to meet that wall, and it's just not going to work. So there is this kind of friction between our energies especially with the messages we're receiving. If you're using that moon and Gemini energy and asking for that guidance and, you know, trying to work with that air energy, that communication energy, and saying, hey spirit, am I in the right direction? Am I doing, is this the right thing? Is this what I should be putting my focus in? And then spirit is like, no. No, it's not. That's coming from that opposition, especially with that Sag energy being there. Once the sun goes into Sagittarius, because Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter, okay, is and Sag, they're both very knowledgeable energies. They're very high conscious energies. They're very like all about educating yourself so you make the correct moves. You come at the situation correctly, not like wanting something and then just going after it for absolutely no good reason, but actively making knowledgeable moves. There's a reason why Sagittarius gets lucky and rules the energy of luck, because it tends to make very well educated moves. And so there is a need to make sure that you're listening to the guidance that you're getting from spirit before you try to run in a certain direction, or you're going to just meet that friction. Okay, you're just going to meet that friction. If you try to stay the same, you're going to meet that friction. And that is crazy that I'm literally just looking down at the cards right now, and that's literally the message, but we're going to talk about that later. So there is this little bit of a friction there, and especially with our ancestors, and I do feel like the ancestors have a specific viewpoint of how something should be handled during this time, especially if it's a family matter. It should be the way it should be handled, the way it should be spoken. Specifically, if there's a need to strike up a conversation or anything of the sort, there's a specific way that it should be done. And I do feel like the ancestors are being a little bit more clear with the messages that we're receiving in that regard. If you're asking for guidance, you don't be surprised if you get it a little bit bluntly, or if it just comes out, you know, a little bit in the rough edges, because that's just the way that you need to receive the message, so you can then move forward with that message and do what you need to do from that message as well. So there is kind of like this clear-cut air-like kind of energy going on, and that again is because of the lunar eclipse is in Gemini. Gemini is an air sign, so sometimes it doesn't always come from a place of like loving emotional stuff, because it's just not an emotional sign. It's a very, very like clear cut, this is the message, and sometimes the message will be very loving, and sometimes the message is like, hey, well, that's how I feel, that's what the truth is, that's honestly, this is what I'm saying. And if you're speaking out of honesty and you are taking in the messages that you're receiving from a place of accepting it, no matter how you're receiving it, you're going to find that it's a little bit easier for you to move through the message and actually take in the messages that you're receiving and be a little bit more productive about them. So I hope that was clear. The sun will be in a beautiful trine with Mars, which is great because Mars is in Aries. Okay, and so you do have this kind of supporting fire energy, okay? And the fire is going to be very, very prominent during Sag season, because it's something that has been kind of for the past few months with Mars being in retrograde and like everything that's just been happening, even through like Leo season and everything like that, we haven't had that breath of fire in a minute. And so when Sag season comes, it's going to bring that breath of fire, but it's also going to like really tap into that Mars in Aries energy, where Mars actually wants to like start making moves, starts doing stuff like, okay, what are we doing? What does next year look like? There's a really, really heavy focus on what's coming up for the next couple of months for us. So there is just like this beautiful like harmony between our ego and what the direction looks like, as far as like, okay, this is what I'm passionate about. Okay, how do I go about then making that happen? And then that's when we go in and talk to spirit for guidance, and they're going to be like, okay, we understand that this is your passion, but you also have to handle X, Y, Z, and B before you try to run to Z. Because that's just not productive right now. Like you need to handle this before you do this. You need to make sure that this is in order before you try to do X, Y, Z, and B. It's just not it's gonna be a little bit easier if you allow yourself to emotionally retain the messages that are being delivered to you, because it's going to be a trigger on an emotional level, especially going to be a hit to the ego if the sun is in this beautiful trine with Mars, and Mars is like, I want to go, and your sun is like, oh, well, this is what I'm meant to do in my life. And then, you know, your emotions are like, but you know, the message I'm getting is a little bit like, it's a little bit like, we see your movements being different, or we think that you should approach your movements being a little bit different than you planned. So it's all about making sure you're using all of the energies in a productive way, so you're not setting up yourself for failure. So it's understanding that yes, you will feel very, very aligned into creating action, forward moving action for yourself, but it's also understanding that, hey, you are going to have to pause and reflect on what spirit is saying, what the message is ultimately that you need to hear, how you need to navigate through the next couple of months, and the choices and the choices that you make, and how that those choices are going to impact your life in the long run, because there is still that long run effect on it. When you say, hey, I'm going to run and I'm going to chase my passion, that is a commitment. So those commitments, obviously, because they take so much time investment, you do have to make sure that you are moving from a place of clarity and you're not doubting yourself. And that's when that moon in Gemini is going to help you. If you're actively listening to the messages and saying, hey, spirit, what is it how can I best go about X, Y, Z, and B? When you're doing that, then you're able to really, you know, move forward in a place where you're clear, you got the messages, and then you're able to still do what you want to do, but more like cleaning up the edges, like more concise, more knowledgeable, no understanding, getting that green light, knowing like, hey, okay, you know what? I know exactly what I'm doing. I got the feedback from the ancestors, got a feedback from spirit, and they don't want me to do it this way, but if I do it this way, I do see success in this direction. So I'm going to try to approach it this way. Be flexible. Don't be stubborn, because that's what's going to create a little bit of chaos there. The moon will be in a square with Neptune, which is now direct, Neptune, which is in Pisces. Notice how you see a lot of this friction going on with the moon. So the sun was in this like opposing the moon, just like no. And then you have like this moon, like the moon fighting Neptune, who was just got out of retrograde and is straight up trying to get back in the flow of things. So there is this kind of like, again, there's a lot of friction there. This specific, okay, I'm trying to find the way to express the message that I'm getting for you guys. This, I feel like, is going to really highlight a lot of the things that have been happening within ourselves on a subconscious level. And this is something that I talk about a lot on the channel, because we talk about a lot about the subconscious minds and how we navigate through our subconscious minds. Now, Neptune, which rules spirituality, the ocean, the subconscious mind, illusions, the dream world, creativity, and Pisces, which rules, because Neptune rules Pisces, it rules those things as well. Because we have this like this emphasis on again, the spirituality, our subconscious mind, what our subconscious mind is actually telling us. You have the moon then squaring that and saying, I'm fighting what I'm getting from the subconscious. And this is what I'm saying. The message that we'll be receiving during this lunar eclipse is not going to be so nice. It's not going to be, it might not even be what you want to hear at all. Like, you might literally get a whole type of like brick wall in your face. And this specific lunar eclipse will obviously affect you in different ways. I would recommend highly looking at your transit, so that way you get, you know, where what is falling and where's and who's and what's. But for the most part, you are going to see this kind of friction when it comes to the messages that you're receiving, how they're affecting your ego, how they're affecting your spirituality, and how you're allowing the messages that are coming through on a spiritual level to maybe kind of throw you off a little bit. It's almost like it's definitely surprising in nature, and I do feel like there is this like feeling of this doesn't feel right, or wait, you're telling me I've been doing this wrong for a second, or like it's almost like getting thrown off. It's like a curveball. It's literally this moon and square Neptune. It's just like curveball, like just straight up. You get a message and you're just like let's say you've just been told, hey, you should have been working on this whole time, but then Spirit's like then an offer shows up at the table and you're just like, oh my god, this is exactly what I wanted to do, and then Spirit's like, don't sign the papers. And you're like, but this is what I've been working and Spirit's like, don't sign the papers. This is not meant for you. Do not sign the papers. And you're just like, wait, what do you mean? So I feel like it's a curveball. I feel like it's gonna throw some people off, and I do feel like it's gonna create a little bit of confusion, especially because Neptune tends to, again, subconscious mind, it's a very gray area. So you're gonna feel like certain things, especially certain things that you've been working on, is like in a little bit of a gray area. So if you're feeling a little gray, if you're feeling a little cloudy, if you're feeling like there's a fog suddenly that just magically appeared, you need to not only seek for guidance on this day. So this would be a really great day to get like a reading, or like actually pull cards for yourself, or just make sure you're doing like a meditation or going in prayer and just connecting with Spirit and saying, hey, you know, just to be clear, I know that you guys want to, you know, want me to be successful. I know that you guys have good intentions, but what is the message? What is it that I need to hear? How will this impact me? What should my moves look like? I am ready to receive, even if I disagree, but I am ready to receive. Always remember that you always obviously have the choice on doing whatever the hell you want to do, but if I do feel like when we feel like we're doing and we're in alignment with the messages we're receiving from Spirit, we do feel more supported. So there is this kind of like, again, curveball where you're just like, you're gonna feel a little bit like, wait, what do you mean? Type of thing. And it is a curveball, and you do honestly just need to trust. This is gonna be like a test of trust in many ways. Like, are you trusting the messages that you're receiving, and are you taking them to heart, and how are you allowing yourself to heal and transform through the messages that you're receiving? It's a very powerful, it's a very powerful aspect to reveal a lot of different things, especially because both of these planets are in mutable signs. So it's a flex. You have to stay flexible. You do have to work with that mutable energy. Stay flexible to the messages. Stay flexible to like the truth. Stay flexible to your subconscious mind, to your own sensitivity, because there is going to be a little bit of sensitivity. Is going to be a little bit like, wait, what? So there is a little bit of sensitivity there, and you do have to try to maintain your own, like, your strength, and just take things not with just a grain of salt, but take things as, you know what, I receive this message. I will do as I'm told. Like, just trust me. Just trust me. Just trust me. The messages that are about to come is gonna be a little crazy. The next one that we're gonna talk about is Venus opposition to Uranus. Okay, Uranus, which is still in retrograde in Taurus. So Venus will be in Scorpio during this time. So there's this opposition to fixed sign energy, because Venus, it's in a fixed sign, and then Uranus is also in a fixed sign. So there is this kind of like situation going on with Venus and Uranus, and I do feel like it's gonna, when it comes to relationships itself, it's going to complicate a little bit of how we are visibly seeing our relationships, because Uranus in Taurus especially, you do have this emphasis on like Venusian energy, but Taurus rules the second house. It rules the values. Okay, it rules what you value. So not just money, because yes, we value money, we're a society and we have all agreed that money is a valuable thing, but we also value other things like love, friendship, honesty, and different whatever. I'm sure there's a list for each person of what they value. There is this kind of friction with what we value and our pleasure, and the truth of what we're valuing and why we're doing what we're doing during this time. And I do feel like Venus opposing Uranus, there is an upgrade of how you receive pleasure, and how what the truth of the matter is in the long term. Like, just revealing a revelation of why why that thing is something that you have kept on or held on for such a long time, especially because, again, Uranus is in Taurus. Taurus is a fixed sign. Taurus is the most stubborn sign in astrology. And so you do have to understand that the energy of Taurus tends to be very, it's a very hard-headed sign. So when you have this Venus and Scorpio energy opposing it, and Scorpio energy coming and saying, hey, like, how are you, how have you not transformed? How have you not evolved? What are you stopping you from receiving joy, love, pleasure, money? What is stopping you? What is the truth? What is the core? Because again, that's what Scorpio looks for. And because Venus rules that love, that pleasure energy, lust, money, all of these type of things, because it rules these positive aspects in many ways. And you have Scorpio there saying, okay, well, me being Venus and Scorpio, I find my pleasure in knowing the truth. I find my pleasure in the darker side of things. I want to know everything. I want to dive deeper. I want to get more sensual. I want to connect to your soul. I want to know what the truth is. When you have that energy opposing Uranus, which is in Taurus, which is like, I'm in friction. I am the same as I have been in the past 25 years. I'm not changing. Like, it's a very rigid, like, you know, it's like hard as a rock kind of energy. And so when you have these two opposing, you have one planet saying, hey, the way you're doing things is not, it's not helping you. You are not bringing any type of positivity, any type of love, any type of like light to your life. You're creating a lot of problems for yourself and you're not happy. That's the problem. That's really, really the big problem. You're not happy, and we need you to be better. We need you to be more of who you're meant to be. We need you to be in alignment. Like, I need you to go back to your journey, to you. And so this opposition really calls for some self-evaluation of who the F's we are in the long term and what we're doing, how we're feeling, deep diving into our truths and really allowing ourselves to evolve and feel a little bit more comfortable in who we are today. You have to ask yourself that question. Are you comfortable with who you are today? Are you happy with who you are today? Are you completely satisfied with who you are today? That is like the really, really big one that's coming up from here. The next one that we're going to talk about is Mars square Pluto. And listen, okay, Pluto, which is in Capricorn, Mars, the planet of passion, war, how we fight when we get mad, like that's Mars. Okay, that's Mars. That's that warrior energy squaring, going into a fight, okay, with Pluto, saying square up, okay, square up right now. Pluto, the planet of death, transformation, the occult, really going hands with Mars and saying, okay, because Pluto is in Capricorn, and Capricorn, again, it's that government energy. It rules government, it rules tradition, it rules career, social status. That Capricorn energy is very, very much about, it's like 10th house energy. It's how we move, how we make our mark, what we're working towards, how we're growing through our work, what we're investing time in, and how we're seen from it. So there is this kind of like emphasis on government energy and how that impacts everybody else, how your presence, how your choices impacts others, how others see you as well. So in this regard, it can be a little bit frustrating because you will see a little, like some people being a little bit more stubborn. But at the same time, Mars and Pluto are both in cardinal signs. So did you notice a pattern of all of the fights and oppositions and squares that are happening right now? It's very much the way the planets, the signs that the planets are, you know, the signs that the planets are in, they're in the same sisterly energy. They're either fixed signs, mutable signs, cardinal signs, like they're in the same type of energy. So when you have Mars and Aries going up with Pluto and Capricorn, like Aries and Capricorn are very similar signs. It's just that Aries moves faster than Capricorn. It's a fire sign. Fire spreads faster than Earth does, obviously. And so when you have this fight coming up, you see some stubbornness because one, again, wants to move faster than the other. One wants to transform faster than the other. One wants to there is this energy of a little bit of chaos with this, and I do feel like it can create really big life changes and just clear, concise feelings. Like if you decide, if you make a decision during this lunar eclipse, it's one of those, I'm sticking to it. It's like if you're gonna break up with someone, you're sticking to that. If you're gonna quit, you're sticking to that. Like, because Aries is very decisive, and Mars in Aries, whew, very decisive. Like, once they made up their mind about something, you can't convince them otherwise. That's what they're doing, period. And then it fighting Pluto and Capricorn asking the question of, okay, but how is this affecting you longer term? Have you actually, before you decided to just quit, did you actually think about what that's going to do for the next couple of months? Are you going to be good, or can you sustain yourself within the next couple of months, no problem? Or do you need to make sure that you are stable before you go through the transformation process, okay, that Pluto transformation process, and then evolve into your next point? There is this wanting to do something fast versus taking a little bit of time to allow your transformation to happen. So Mars and Pluto are going to be really kind of, is an agitation. It definitely is, because it makes you want to make a choice right then and there. But you know, if you make that choice, you can set yourself up for a disaster. So I would say try to be very cautious of this energy and impulsiveness during this lunar eclipse, and that's that whole week for the lunar eclipse. Just be very cautious of that energy, because it's not necessarily easy to throw yourself in like a big life choice like that, and then you're just kind of left with like, I did it, and then you're like, oh, but now I have to figure XYZ out. Like, ultimately, yes, Aries rules this, you know, it pretty much leads to zodiac, it leads astrology, I get it, but as a Capricorn, I am biased. And because we still are under Saturn energy, I would not advise for anybody to just run out and just do willy-nilly whatever they want. Please think about your choices before you do them, because they have consequences, okay? While Aries energy tends to be, and you know, can usually do stuff and get stuff like, and really get really lucky and have it worked out for them, that's not necessarily what the chart looks like for everybody else, for every circumstance, for every instance. It's just not really the time. I wouldn't even recommend an Aries do this for themselves during this time. It's just it's a time to be more cautious, especially because right after Sagittarius season, we have Capricorn season, and you best believe you're gonna have that karma right back to you if you do something rash. All right. So obviously we're going to have the conjunctions. The generational planets are still supporting each other very well. So Jupiter will be in a conjunction with Saturn, which is both in Capricorn. Jupiter will also be in a conjunction with Pluto, which is in Capricorn, and Saturn will be in a conjunction with Pluto because they're in Capricorn. So you still have that support, that earth support that I mentioned in every single one of these videos, because you have to understand that even though there's some friction going on in the faster moving planets, the generational planets are still very much have that stability, have that foundation, where it's very much in Capricorn energy. You're still seeing a lot of things happening within the politics, within, you know, what's going on in the country. And I am waiting for this December 15th for the homeboy to get certified. Somebody needs to pull out the 25th Amendment. I literally tweeted that today. I was like, I called Nancy Pelosi. I called Cory Booker. I was like, who do I need to call? Do I need to start a petition, something, so you guys can start rolling out this 25th Amendment? Because he gotta go. Homeboy gotta go. He gotta go. He gotta leave. He gotta go. So yeah, there's just it's a lot of Capricorn energy. The government in how the government is moving is still having a huge impact. There's still a lot of changes happening, but there is this solidifying grounding that's still in place, and there's so much karma being dealt right now. Let me tell you, let me just point out just some of my favorite karmas. Okay, not only did this dude win the last election with 306 electoral votes, but he also lost by 306 electoral votes. If you don't believe in karma, understand that is karma. That is straight up karma. And I was laughing so hard because I've been noticing a lot of the karma that's been coming from, that's been happening from this. A lot of what was coming into question was, you know, the justice system, like the legal system. What was the courts gonna do? All of these kind of stuff. And you notice that while we had this Venus and Libra energy really at play and Mercury and Libra energy really at play, like our legal system was right on the money. Everything was just like, oh, you don't got any proof, bye, denied, bye. And then there's just like lawsuit after lawsuit getting like just like a no, like you don't have a case, sorry. Like there's this emphasis on karma, this is emphasis on balance, and there's a lot of like justice happening, even if you're not noticing it. So there is just like this calibration happening within the generational planets. And they're still doing their thing, they're still at play, they're gonna be moving in certain directions. And I do recommend that you still try to maintain grounded up until the end of the year, up until the beginning of 2021, because of that Capricorn energy. Okay, we're gonna see that switch happen next month in December, where Jupiter and Saturn go into Aquarius. So that's where that Aquarian energy will be very heavy on our souls. But for right now, we're still seeing that Capricorn energy play out. There's still a lot of karma to be dealt, and there's still a lot of healing that needs to be had, and a lot of things that need to be grounded and certified. That's why December 15th is really, really important as well. So yeah, it's everything is happening for a reason. I don't want you guys to like dismiss anything that's going on, because I'm telling you, everything that's happening is for a reason, and you are best to just work with the energy to the best of your ability. Now, the cards that I pulled for this lunar eclipse was the Hangman, the Four of Pentacles. If that literally doesn't just highlight everything we just talked about, I don't know what does. We got the Tower, and we got the Six of Wands and the Emperor, which again, I'm not surprised about, because Aries wants to just be the best, 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 like right now. So there is this kind of reawakening happening. There is this kind of leaving of the stagnation in many ways, and getting jolted out. And this is again happening because Mars just went direct, and we have this kind of Aries energy, like, okay, I want to go back and focus on the things that I want to do. I want to be successful. I want to be on my past. I want to be on my high horse. I want to be, you know, like I want to be what I'm supposed to be doing. Like all these things, like there's just like this, I want to run kind of energy, which I understand, I 100% understand, because the energy is also there. But there is this like kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Reanalyzation of the things that we have been stuck on. Okay, the messages that we're getting. If you were stuck on the idea that your success, if you have been literally sitting on the fact that when you come out of this energy, when you get that open door, that open like escape, this is the way you're gonna escape, that's not the way you're gonna escape. Actually, there's a whole other way that you will meet your success, but it's not gonna be the way that you thought. And you have to be open to that thing that you really grounded yourself in, and thinking that that's the way that it had to be done, and allowing that to change, because that's not the message that you're going to be receiving from Spirit has something else, and it's a little shocking. It's a little bit like, it's like, wait, but I had this whole plan. It's like, if you've been listening to me for a hot minute, and I told you guys you should be thinking about your 5 to 10 year plan and all this stuff, yes. But if you had planned it in a certain way where it's like you were stuck on it, you really thought like, okay, this is exactly the way that I'm gonna do it, and this is how I'm gonna move, this is how I'm gonna make my moves, this is how I'm gonna do X, Y, C, and B. This is the only way. This is like the only way I can get this done. No. Spirit is like, actually, think again. I think you should open up your perspective a little bit. I think you need to be open to the possibility of it looking a little bit different than you think it's supposed to look. Okay? I think you should be a little bit more open of how you can achieve the success, how you can be your best self, how you can put yourself here in just a different way. And I think you're going to receive the messages for this during this lunar eclipse. And if you allow yourself, again, that this is where you're going ultimately. But there is this you thought. It's like this is a you thought energy. You thought, you really were paused, you thought about it, you really sat down and had this whole plan, but it's gonna look a little bit different. You can keep the end goal, but the journey you cannot completely map. There is a little bit of a different path that you got to take in order to achieve what it is that you want to do. So also bottom of the deck is the 10 of Wands and the Sun card, so I'm not surprised. So yeah, that's really what the message is for this lunar eclipse. I hope that you guys received the messages that you needed. And as we inch closer to December, we'll definitely stay tuned because there will be a ton more videos coming. So don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to ring the bell to get notified every time I upload. Don't forget to check out the Patreon as well, because we're always learning and growing over there. And I am about to do a giveaway, which I'm really excited about because it's going to be really, really fun. And yeah, I will definitely see you loves in the next one. Have a very, very beautiful day or beautiful night. Bye.